You've been told to save, budget, and invest in your future. But now that you're ready to buy a home, the market feels rigged. Houses are vanishing off the market in days. Bidding wars are being won with cash offers, sometimes tens of thousands over asking. And the buyers, they're not families. They're billion-dollar hedge funds. Right now, Wall Street owns more of the American housing market than ever before. From suburban homes to rental apartments, financial giants are turning what used to be your American dream into their next profit machine. But how did this happen? And more importantly, what does it mean for you? In this video, we're exposing the mechanics behind what might be the biggest housing trap in U.S. history. By the end, you'll know whether buying a home today is a smart move or a setup designed to keep you locked out. To understand the trap we're in today, we need to go back to 2008, when the housing market crashed and millions of homes went into foreclosure. For most people, it was a financial disaster, but for Wall Street, it was an opportunity. Private equity firms, hedge funds, and asset managers like Blackstone, Invitation Homes, and American Homes for Rent started buying up homes at rock-bottom prices, and not just one or two. We're talking thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of single-family homes, entire neighborhoods bought like stocks. Between 2011 and 2023, institutional investors went from owning a fraction of the housing market to controlling over 400,000 single-family rental homes nationwide. In cities like Atlanta, Phoenix, and Charlotte, institutional investors account for 1 in every 7 home purchases. Why does this matter? Because these firms aren't just buying to live in the homes, they're buying to rent, to flip, or to hold for long-term gains. And with deep pockets and algorithms to guide their bids, they often outcompete everyday buyers before a home even hits the open market. Wall Street turned homes into assets. Something meant for families became another financial product. And as their portfolios grew, so did their influence, not just on prices, but on who gets to live where. What started as a post-crisis recovery play has now snowballed into a full-blown shift in housing power, from individuals to institutions. Here's where it gets dangerous, not just because Wall Street is buying homes, but how they're doing it. First, let's talk speed and scale. Institutional investors aren't going to open houses on Sundays. They use advanced algorithms to scan entire zip codes for properties under market value. When they find one, they don't negotiate. They pay cash, fast, and often buy in bulk. That makes it nearly impossible for everyday buyers, especially first-timers using a mortgage, to compete. Second, the goal isn't home ownership, it's profit. These firms buy homes to turn them into rentals. And unlike mom and pop landlords, Wall Street doesn't manage a few units. They run entire subdivisions like corporations. Tenants? They're not neighbors. Their revenue streams, rent hikes, service fees, and strict lease terms are baked into the model. But here's the trap. The more they buy, the more prices rise. And as prices go up, fewer people can afford to buy, so they rent. And who owns the rentals? Wall Street. It's a closed loop. You get priced out of buying, then overcharged for renting. Either way, you're paying them. Even more alarming, Wall Street is packaging these homes into securitized rental bonds. Yup, just like mortgage-backed securities before the 2008 crash. They take the rental income from thousands of properties, bundle it up, and sell it to investors. If it sounds familiar, that's because it is. The same financial engineering that tanked the economy 15 years ago is back, wearing a different outfit. And it doesn't stop there. Some funds are now targeting build-to-rent developments, constructing entire communities not to be sold, but to be rented indefinitely. No chance of ownership, just a permanent tenant class. This is the trap. A system where Wall Street drives up home prices, dominates the rental market, and locks you into paying them, whether you're ready to buy or not. So what does all this mean if you're trying to buy your first home, or just find an affordable place to live? Let's start with buyers. In markets where institutional investors are active, home prices are rising faster than incomes. In Atlanta, for example, prices jumped nearly 40% between 2020 and 2023, while wages barely moved. When firms like Invitation Homes outbid you with an all-cash offer, they're not just taking a house, they're taking away your chance at building generational wealth. And the ripple effects are brutal, because if you can't buy, you rent. But guess what? Wall Street owns those rentals too. And they've been raising the rent faster than mom and pop landlords ever did. According to the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis, institutional landlords raised rents 11% more on average than smaller property owners in 2023 alone. Worse, they've been criticized for neglecting maintenance, tacking on hidden fees, and evicting tenants at higher rates. It's not just more expensive, it's more hostile. Then there's the psychological cost. For decades, buying a home was the American dream, a symbol of stability, community, and control over your life. But today, more people feel like permanent outsiders. Even dual-income families are getting priced out of starter homes, forced into an endless cycle of rent, save, repeat, while watching prices climb out of reach. This isn't just about personal finance anymore. It's about power. When massive corporations control the places we live, they also shape our cities, our neighborhoods, and our futures. And unlike local homeowners, these firms don't care about schools, parks, or community. They care about ROI. In the end, whether you're renting or trying to buy, the message is the same. You're not competing with other families anymore. You're up against Wall Street. You'd think a crisis this big would trigger massive political pushback, right? Well, kind of. Some lawmakers have proposed reforms. Senator Elizabeth Warren, for example, has called for tighter regulation on institutional landlords and even suggested banning hedge funds from owning single-family homes altogether. Cities like Minneapolis and Charlotte have floated local policies to limit bulk home purchases or prioritize first-time buyers. But so far, federal action has been limited and mostly toothless. One major challenge: Wall Street firms aren't technically doing anything illegal. They're operating in a gray zone the current housing laws weren't built to handle. The Fair Housing Act and local zoning laws never envisioned a world where entire neighborhoods would be owned by financial institutions. Plus, let's be real, Wall Street has deep pockets and deep influence. These firms spend millions lobbying lawmakers, shaping housing policy from behind the scenes. Some smaller scale interventions have shown promise. For instance, the First Look program in places like California gives nonprofits and owner-occupants a chance to bid on foreclosed homes before investors can. But these efforts are localized, and they're not enough to compete with the national scale of institutional buying. The result? A game where the rules haven't caught up, and regular buyers are left playing defense. Until policy catches up with reality, the trap will keep tightening. If nothing changes, we're heading toward a two-tiered housing system, one where corporations own and the rest of us rent. Already, some economists are warning that this shift is not just a financial issue, it's a threat to the social fabric. Home ownership has long been tied to upward mobility, community involvement, and long-term wealth creation. Strip that away, and you're left with a generation locked out of stability. But there's a twist coming. Interest rates have risen sharply since 2022, and that's starting to hit institutional buyers too. Financing bulk home purchases has gotten more expensive. Some firms are slowing down, offloading homes, or pivoting to other asset classes. That could cool their dominance, but it won't erase the damage already done. At the same time, build-to-rent is accelerating. In 2024 alone, over 100,000 build-to-rent homes are expected to hit the market. These are neighborhoods designed from day one to be rental only, managed by corporations with no option to buy. That's not a stepping stone, that's a long-term shift. So what can you do? Start by getting educated. Run your own numbers. Rent versus buy isn't a one-size-fits-all equation. Explore local programs designed to help first-time buyers and support policy efforts that push back against institutional dominance, whether that's zoning reform or tax penalties on large-scale ownership. Because if we stay silent, the trend continues. But if enough people understand what's happening, we might just have a chance to reclaim the dream of homeownership. Wall Street didn't just invade the housing market, they changed the rules. And now you have to decide, will you play by them or push back? Do you think corporate landlords should be banned from owning single-family homes? Drop your thoughts in the comments and watch my next video.